This is a true story behind AJ Lee's WWE/wrestling retirement. AJ Lee, real name April Mendez, former WWE Divas Champion, retired from WWE and all of wrestling in 2015 after a highly successful career. The primary reasons for her retirement were the following things that we are going to discuss, and we're going to get into detail. Now, before we get into this list, I have a question for you. Does AJ Lee return for one final match? Let me know down in the comments area below. I think she does. Number one reason why she retired, just right off the bat, health concerns. Look, AJ Lee, she dealt with several injuries throughout her career, particularly related to her neck. These various injuries, they stacked up, and they were a significant factor in her decision to step away from in-ring competition, most notably the neck injury. She had a really bad neck, something she still deals with to this day. Look, wrestling is physically demanding, and long-term health risks like these often push athletes to retire early to avoid permanent damage and have a better life. Number two, at the time, there was tensions between WWE and her husband, CM Punk. A major influence on Lee's retirement was a situation involving her husband. As CM Punk, he left WWE on bad terms in 2014 and later went on Colt Cabana's podcast and unleashed about his experiences, especially over the health of himself, the lack of health care that they gave him, and creative issues. This later led to Dr. Chris Amon filing a lawsuit against Punk and Colt Cabana over this. They later went to court over it. AJ Lee, she was kind of in the middle of it, and she thought, okay, do you pick your career or your husband? And so she decided to pick her husband as well, in addition to the neck injury, and she retired shortly after Punk's public falling out with the company. About a year later. Number three, desire to pursue other passions. After leaving WWE, AJ Lee wanted to explore opportunities outside of wrestling. She was interested in writing, advocacy work, and other forms of entertainment. Her passion for mental health awareness and feminism causes also played a role in her decision to move on from the wrestling world. Now, here's another question. What has AJ Lee done since her retirement from pro wrestling? Well, there's four things, and they're pretty cool if you ask me. Number one, author. AJ Lee became a successful author, releasing her memoir, Crazy is My Superpower, How I Trumped by Breaking Bones, Breaking Hearts, and Breaking Rules in 2017. The book, it became a New York Times bestseller, detailing her life story, career in wrestling, struggles with mental health, and rise to stardom. Number two, mental health advocacy. Lee has been outspoken about advocating for mental health awareness. Her memoir openly discusses her struggles with bipolar disorder and her journey toward just accepting who she was, something which we all discover that we have issues with, right? I battle with it, you battle with it. It's very common. She actively participates in campaigns promoting mental health education, reducing stigmas, and empowering people, particularly women, to their own stories. Number three, acting and producing. AJ Lee has dabbled in entertainment, including acting and producing. Most notably, she was a producer on the WOW Women's of Wrestling TV series / promotion, which has focused on showcasing women's wrestling. This keeps her connected with the wrestling world, but from a behind-the-scenes perspective, although she's no longer part of that. Now she's writing series and movies, especially with Netflix. She did a TV series with Netflix, and she's doing a movie right now. Number four, animal rights activism. She's been very involved in animal rights activism, using her platform to advocate for animal welfare and environmental causes. Look, I think it's pretty safe to say that AJ Lee has stayed out of the wrestling spotlight since her retirement, but she continues to influence fans through her activism, writing, and other projects. Here is the reason why I think AJ Lee will eventually make a return to WWE. There was a lot of talk when CM Punk went to AEW in 2021. Would he be able to get AJ Lee back into the squared circle, something in which fans have wanted to see. And Punk has maintained since then, whenever he's asked, that is not something in which he will discuss on the behalf of his wife. Instead, he wants his wife to discuss it on her own. She has a voice, she might as well, use it. And it's not his place to talk for her, which is very respectable. She obviously did not wrestle in AEW. And I don't think that's much of a shock, despite the fact that there would have been some great dream matches out there, and there still are. But her going to AEW, I think that chapter has absolutely closed. That possibility is done, because it doesn't make much sense, A, to go to an AEW instead of going back to WWE, your former home, where you know people, where you have a legacy built. Also, where your husband is currently working and is a top star. But there was a lot of dream matches in AEW that she could have done, and she still could. I mean, Britt Baker is one that comes to mind, right? And now you look at the landscape, your Mercedes Moné's, your Toni Storms, your Mariah Mays, etc. But in WWE, if she wanted to go there, which I think is the most likely landing spot for her, I think that is absolutely where it would make the most sense, because she does have a history and she does have a legacy, and her husband works there. I think who she could work with is endless. It's limitless, right? Your Charlotte Flairs, although some of these names, yes, she has worked before, but it's been many years, and there's a lot of overturn, a lot of, evolution and changes. But you could go down, if you want new matches, you could look at your Nia Jax's, your Tiffany Stratton's, Liv Morgan's, Rhea Ripley's, so many, right? Like, you can just go down the list. And then she can repeat feuds with Charlotte Flair and a Bayley. And, I mean, think about this, like, she was what helped cause change in wrestling, in women's wrestling. She was basically the face of the revolution, right? That infamous promo on Monday Night Raw, where there was a Bellas match, and they had just gotten done, and she came out there, and she just absolutely ripped on the Bella Twins, just destroyed them on the mic, talking about they stand for everything that's wrong about women's wrestling, and she's an advocate for people who can talk on the mic, who can go in the ring, who can get over by themselves, regardless of them working 3-minute matches, being able to connect with the fan base. She stood out because of her look. She was different. She was unique. She was special. All that being said, that's what AJ was so great with doing. And I hope to see her back inside the squared circle.